Are you ready to get woke? Welcome to the Woke as podcast with your host, Alex Lazarev.
What's up, people at the Woke as Fuck audience? Hi, and probably Jeff's audience too, because he films and everything and puts it on his channel. So hi to everybody.
I make money on DTube, so might as well film everything.
You know what? We're just about to start putting this on D-Sound as well.
Oh, I didn't even know there was D-Sound.
I just found out about it, and I was like, yes, because I want everything to be on the decentralized for when they come shut me down, which they will one day.
Absolutely.
Because they're coming for everyone.
They just shut down InfoWars. They shut down not what's his name, Health Ranger.
Yeah. They're coming after everyone.
Yeah,
so
everyone gets shut
we
down.
need to just tell everybody.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I know you do a lot of interviews, and I know everybody always asks you the same boring fucking question. Tell us a little bit about you, blah, blah. So you know what? I'm not even going to ask you that. People can go look you up and check out your history and any talk you've ever done anywhere. And I know you're always talking about, Bitcoin and the economy and how the economic system's a scam and blah, blah, blah. But that's already out there. That's not why I wanted you on the Woke as Fuck podcast. I wanted you here because I know you. And you're doing something, you're in the process of doing something that most people will never actually do, genuinely. And what that is facing their actual trauma and putting in the time and effort to actually heal themselves. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. You've really been on it for a couple years. I mean, you've been hitting everything. Fucking detoxes, juicing, iboga, ayahuasca camp. I mean, this guy has been killing. Like, I've been in all that stuff, and he tells me shit he's doing. I'm like, dude, are you sure you want to do that? That's some crazy shit. So you've really been on the path, And I think, really, that's what this podcast is about, talking to people who are on the spiritual path. But I think we're all on the spiritual path. But you can't really get better at any part of your life unless you're really willing to look at your own shit. Mm-hmm. And most people will not look. They'll distract themselves. Like you were a master distractor.
Oh, master.
You were just, drinking all the time and just not really looking at what am I covering up, what am I not facing. So, so I really respect that you've really been doing the work these last couple of years, and I'm not the only one that's noticed it. A lot of people knows, like, Jeff's really working on his shit. He's not fucking around. So before I ask you, and that's really going to be the main theme here, is what have you been doing? What's been working for you to really let go of all the crap and really make peace with your shit. But I think the question before that, and this is the part where I need to speak to real Jeff, not like the masked Jeff, like, yes, I'm an economic master, billionaire, the real Jeff who isn't afraid to be intimate, who can really come from the heart and truly share, because that's one of your things, is you're really good at covering that guy up, that pain up, and just giving us this mask of this entrepreneur, successful, whatever guy. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, and I really want you to take a moment here and really feel into this and just be present with me, because this is the real, this isn't fucking some fucking crypto dude's like, yeah, Jeff, where's Bitcoin going? That's not this. So I really want you to feel into what is it that you've been connecting with and truly healing over these last couple of years. What is this? I mean, I've spoken to you. We've done San Pedro together, so I'm one of the people you've opened up to and really shared how fucked up your childhood was, how much lack of love and attention and intimacy you actually had, and that's brutal. And I come from the same place, dude. I know exactly what you've been through, and same thing with Isabel. Like, we've all gone through the same thing. So give us a little bit about that stuff that you really don't talk about, that stuff that you really don't share. Where does Jeff really come from? What was your real trauma and pain that you've been healing? Where did this all come from for you?
Well, it's weird to hear you pose it in those ways, because you say that I've been dealing with my trauma and all these sort of things. I never really thought of it that way. All I knew was I reached about the age of 45. I had done everything, been everywhere, been masking a lot of things, but I didn't even realize I was masking it, right? You're kind of almost like a robot, almost like a zombie. I was just going from place to place. I'm like, I should be happy. I'm in Hong Kong today. I'm in Singapore tomorrow. There's girls everywhere. I'm drinking. I've got lots of good friends. I got lots of great things I'm doing. I never really thought about it, but it reached a point over a lot of time where I was. And that's, I think, when we met. I think one of the first conversations we had was I was sitting here drinking like an entire bottle of vodka, chatting with you and saying, yeah, I'm depressed, all this sort of stuff. And that's when I started to realize, okay, and it got really bad, like to the point I ended up with a bunch of business problems, partially related to what was going on because I just was not paying attention enough. I was just not all there, and it got bad and worse, and it got to the point where I was pretty much drinking every day and really depressed, incredibly depressed, and I didn't know I was even depressed. I think I told you when I was like, I just watched this documentary. This guy was saying all the same things I've been saying, and he says he's depressed, so maybe I'm depressed. And you were like, of course you are. like to you it was obvious. To me it wasn't. I was like, well, I've got this great life. Shouldn't I be happy and all this sort of stuff? And I've heard people say in about depression and stuff, right? But it didn't seem like that was what I was. And but I've eventually reached a point where I was like, kill yourself or get better. That's basically all. It was that, they always say hit rock bottom. Basically, that's where I was. It was like, put that gun in your mouth because this is not even tolerable anymore, or frickin' go for it and get better. And one of the first things that popped, often the universe kind of sends you stuff when you need it. And the word ayahuasca just started popping up everywhere. And I was like, ayahuasca, what is this? I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. We've done San Pedro now. I've done everything now, but I had no idea. And to me, it was like just another world. I had no idea what these hippies were doing or anything. And I said, okay, well, I looked into it. Okay, it sounds like this could help me, so let me go try it. So I went to Monterrey, Mexico. I flew up there, did it in a house. It was like the crappiest conditions ever. But, and the whole time was just torture. I was just basically, it was black. There was no visuals, no nothing. All these things that Macy talks about. Oh, I went to this other world and this world. It's like, no, it was black and dark, and I had to sit there and look at every single moment of my life for what seemed like years. It seemed like 10 years of psychotherapy. And at the very end of it, all of a sudden, and I was not expecting this, I was actually getting mad at the ayahuasca. I was like, ayahuasca, this is a scam or something. Like, I'm in torture here. I can't even move. And all I'd been doing is think about my life for the last, what it seems like years, but it was only like 6 hours. And right at the end, all of a sudden, this voice came in, and it was so angelic sounding. And actually, it wasn't even a sound. It was like a feeling. But I kind of remember it as a voice, and it sounded like a female voice, and it went, let others help you. And I was like, and then right then, the ayahuasca turned right off. And I was like sober as could be, and I was like, what was that? And I was like, that was just weird. And I didn't even think about it too much. Went back to my house a couple days later, next day, and I felt better because I kind of got a lot of that stuff going a little bit. It was like moving now. And but over a course of about a month or two, I just progressed back to where I was. I started drinking quite a bit again. My wife is getting mad at me, and really mad. And she was like, so I could just see in her eyes, she was so disappointed. She's like, what happened to the guy who wants to change the world? What happened to, you're just sitting there every day drinking in your office and smoking and depressed. And I said to her in that moment, I said, you know what, I don't want to drink that much, but I'm so unhappy that if I see that bottle of wine sitting there, I'm just going to go grab it because I just want this to, I want to get rid of this feeling for a minute or an hour or however long it is. And I said, can you just take all the alcohol out of the house? Because I'm not going to I don't want it bad enough that I'm going to go down to the store. I'm too depressed to even leave the house anyway. But if there's no alcohol around, I'm not going to drink it. And then maybe I can, start to get better a little bit, right? And right in that moment, she said yes. And I was shocked. I was actually shocked. I was like, what, you do that for me? Like, you take all the alcohol out of the house? To me, that seemed like a big deal, like someone was doing something for me. And right in that moment, she said, and it sounded like, right before she said it, I went, what? And then right then she said it, she goes, let others help you. And I was like, holy cow, that ayahuasca, I wasn't letting other people help me. I was trying to fix all my problems on my own without asking anyone for any kind of help. In fact, I'd push it away, right? Then did ayahuasca again, had another really interesting experience, felt a little better, started to get worse again. And I was like, okay, let's take it up a notch. Google, what's the most craziest thing you can do? Iboga. And there's a place like a few hours from here, so I think I took a bus up or drove up and just did it. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And it was like 2 to 3 days of torture, like beyond torture. But at the end of it, I walked out and I came home and I was like, oh, it's so beautiful here. How did I not notice all the beauty? It was just like, when you're in depression, it's like you don't see it. I can look at this view and this could be like the worst view in the world. you know, I have beautiful dogs. You see my house, my family, my kids, all beautiful. They're wonderful. To me, it was just, I didn't see the beauty of it. And after the iboga, I had about a month where I felt really good, almost like I feel right now, like, which I feel a lot now. Like just, oh, I feel good. I'm back. You know, I'm clear. That depression is gone for now. I don't even want to drink. I don't want anything like that. I feel good. And I started working on myself, and man, then it just sort of like, I tried one thing after another, and every single thing I tried really helped, whether it be combo or meditation or yoga or just basic exercise or changing your diet, starting to like get some like decent nutrition back in your body. So that's been like a 2-year sort of thing now. That's led me to the point where when you showed up just now, I was doing a coffee enema, meditation. You walked in, I got all my music on, my relaxation music. I've been doing this all day. Like it's almost 4 o'clock, and I haven't eaten yet because I intermittent fast. And I'm like, this is what I do now. Like I love it. And so when you pose the question, you're trying to heal your traumas, I still didn't really think of it that way, but I'm starting to realize that's what I've been doing. Especially because I've gotten into all kinds of therapies now. I have a hypnotherapist who you introduced me to, Johnny, and he's been amazing. I can't believe some of the stuff I've been doing with him. Like he'll say something to me and I'll just start bawling. And it'll be something basic, like, you know, just a basic question. And after I stop bawling, I'll ask him, like, what just happened? He's like, there's something in your unconscious that it doesn't want your conscious mind to know, but we got really close to it just then. It's like, holy cow, there's so much stuff in there that I just did not realize. So I'm starting to realize now that is actually what I'm doing, is trying to figure out what is in there, because you don't know it's in there. Like, if I would have watched what we're talking or listened to what we're talking about 3 years ago, I'd be like, these guys are a bunch of idiots talking about nothing. You know, like, because I didn't understand it. But now that I understand how all this stuff works, like, it's just like obvious now. But until you know, and you can see through whatever means that there is a lot of stuff in there that's actually affecting everything that most people do. They're almost all programmed robots. I was basically a programmed robot. So I was just doing that, and then you start to realize, oh, why am I doing that? And then you look into it, do some therapy, do some meditation, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, because one day my dad said when I was 4, you better shut up. So that's why I'm so quiet. Oh, okay. Well, what else is in there? And just keep going and going and going. And so that's basically where I'm at now, is just this continual discovery and continual doing of all kinds of things that are really healthy. And one of the things that I've realized is, if your body's not healthy, then your mind's not going to be healthy. And that was a big part of what I've changed in the last 6 months, is getting really healthy physically. Diet, intermittent fasting, exercise. I wake up, I walk with the dogs in the morning, then I come home, I treadmill, gym, and then all the diet-related stuff, and all the supplements and all the things I take. Then when you get that, then your mind all of a sudden is really working well. And then when your mind's really working well, then you can go into deeper, I've found, states of meditation. And that sort of gets to the answer to your question, who am I? Because what I've started to realize with the meditation, I'm just starting this now, like this is just the beginning. In the last month or two, I've started to realize this, is I'm not really my body, and I'm not really my mind. And when you get into meditation, you can only get there if your body's really good and your mind's really good. Otherwise, you can't get to that level. But once you get there, it's like, wait, if I'm not my body, I'm not my mind, who am I exactly? And then that goes down even further into the rabbit hole, which I'm sure you know a lot, because you do a lot of this stuff yourself. But I'm just discovering that now. But I found the entire process to be unbelievable. I never could have imagined I'd even be how I am today. And I'm super excited because I know if I just keep going, I'm going to get better and better. It's just like, to me, this is like the best thing I ever discovered, this whole process. But it took me most of my life to finally realize it.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing. Most people are so stuck in all the, the programming, the chasing their tail, making money, pain, drinking, drugs, all this kind of stuff. They never even realize they're fucked. They never realize how desperately they need help, how much more there is to life, and that's what we're trying to do here with the podcast. We're trying to talk about the stuff and get it out there.
Well, what I found with a lot of like that stuff is like the alcohol or the drugs, I didn't do a ton of drugs, but like, that kind of stuff, or partying, or cigarettes, or even food, or even sex, a lot of these things are just trying to make yourself feel happy for a period of time. What you don't realize is you probably could and should feel happy most of the time, but you haven't done the work to get there. And of course, society and all the commercials and the television programming and the school system, the education indoctrination system, they don't tell you any of this. They, in fact, screw you up. That's their entire job, is to screw you up. So your average person has no idea. You're right. And I had no idea I was screwed up. If you asked me 5 years ago, are you screwed up? I remember having dinner with Stefan Molyneux, who does a lot of the family sort of related stuff. And this was about 5 years ago, and we sat down, and he said, how was your childhood? And I kind of laughed, because that's what he does on his podcast all the time. I said, are we on your podcast? He's like, no, I'm actually interested in this sort of stuff. And I went, it was fine. That was my answer. As I'd never thought about it. Well, I don't remember being raped. I don't remember having my bones broken from being beaten so bad. I had a very good childhood compared to most people, in my opinion. But what you find is it's not really quite like that. And when you start to think about it, because you don't really think about it. And in fact, your conscious mind doesn't know, because your unconscious mind will actually hold a lot of information, because according to Johnny, the hypnotherapist, if my unconscious were to let my conscious mind know everything that it knows right now, he said I'd go crazy, because I'm not ready to deal with it, because I haven't worked on emotional intelligence or learning how to feel emotions and all these sort of things. These are all things I've learned, or starting to learn in the last few years. So yeah, your average person has no idea, and I don't know what you do to really tell them, because there's nothing you could have told me 5 years ago. They kind of have to have it get to the really bad before they wake up.
This is something I've struggled with for years and years and years, because I'm a helper. Like, I just came down here to help everybody snap out of it. That's my thing. So, and I'm always, whenever I meet people, instinctually I can see where they're really suffering, and I'm trying to help them, and I might give them advice or whatever, but I've noticed some people, they will not listen unless they're truly ready. And I've noticed, like, even friends of mine, where I can see they're just unconscious, they're working, they don't realize there's all these things they need. No, they're just like, I'm going to do this, and you have to let them go until they get into a car accident, or they get really sick or something, and then hope, because the universe, like you said in the beginning, it will smack you. When you need a smack, you're going to get smacked. And if you don't listen, you're going to get smacked again. That's how it works. And usually it's gentle at first. It's like, oh, here's a little hint here. I mean, really, gives you these little hints, and if you don't listen, you're going to get a big hint, and it just keeps going that way. And so you really have to let people go and maybe drop little hints where they're like, so, and I just did it the other week. I have some old friends of mine who are great people, but they're just totally stuck in the matrix. They are just, you pay your taxes, you do your work, everything's fine, there's nothing more. You have to work, you go and you meet your friends for some pizza, you watch a movie, you go to sleep, rinse, repeat. That's their life. No reading, no meditation, no high level, no seeking great wisdom or answers. They're just normal people living normal lives. And I drop little hints, just like, hey, I read this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, for example. So interesting. Could really change your life and your perspective and make you a happier person. Yeah, I've got it on PDF. I can email it to you if you like. No reply. No reply. But one day, maybe they'll go, actually, yeah, what was that book you were mentioning? Maybe. But it's a hard lesson for somebody who, like me, who wants to help, but you can't help everybody. You can't.
That's a lesson I learned as well. A lot of the stuff that I do is trying to help people, whether it be waking them up to the financial system, the banking system. And I used to really put it in people's faces, or waking them up to the fact that they own themselves and that they shouldn't, they weren't born to be slaves, and they are slaves right now, and trying to tell them that. And for years and years of just trying to force that onto people, I've learned that the only people that I really try to help now at all are people who come and ask. And they might be really screwed up, but they might have one question like, there's something you said once about meditation. What was that? I'm like, okay, this person's coming to ask. Now we have a channel to start the conversation, right? But if they're not ready to even ask, then there's absolutely zero you can do that I know of. I can't I really do. I've thought about it a lot, and in some ways, maybe that's the way life's supposed to be, right? Because we're definitely not supposed to be going around forcing people to be better, right? Maybe if they're not asking for it and if they don't want it, then that's their path. They have to go, and who knows? Maybe down the road.
Some people have to, or literally have come down to spend an entire lifetime suffering because that's what they need to go through. Right. Till the next one. I mean, literally, and it's hard for us to process. Like, why would you want to suffer? But some part of them does, or on a soul level. And until they physically go, I want help, then that's what it is. With you, asking you now, thinking back, right when you were really fucked, like really in your peak of your depression, do you remember the universe giving you hints, trying to pull you out, that you were like, whatever, that's not going to work? Do you remember moments of like, oh, wait, do you see? Because it's hard to, when you're in it, it's difficult to see like, this could help me, because you don't even think you need help.
Yeah,
you know?
no.
But I know you got your big smackdown eventually.
Yeah. I got numerous all at the same time. Everything always happens at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it was like, this failed. I got defrauded there. I got defrauded somewhere else. I was bankrupt. I went from like doing great to bankrupt all within a few months, really. On top of everything else that I was like depressed and all that sort of stuff. As far as hints, that's hard to say, because the way I look at how I was before, it seems like just a ball of confusion. Like, I don't remember really what life was like before the last couple of years. Like, it seems like another life now. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So to try to think back and see if there was hints, I'm absolutely sure there was tons. And, I actually do remember some of them every now and then. I'm like, man, that guy told me like 5 years ago and I didn't listen, right? Mm-hmm. Like that definitely, there was always hints around. But until you're ready to listen, you don't, really reality, what we know about reality is you kind of create your own reality. So even when you shift your mind, if your mind's in that depressed state or whatever that state is, you will just see bad things, and everything will be bad. But if you shift your mind through whatever means you can, and all of a sudden it's in a better place, all of a sudden everything looks great. Like I said, like this looked like the worst place to be 2 years ago, and now it's the best place to be. Nothing changed. Nothing at all changed. All the same people are here, all the same dogs, 2 more extra pugs, and the view hasn't changed at all. Those flowers, those beautiful birds, nothing changed, but I changed, right? Mm-hmm. So you see really what you want to see. And for those people who are in that sort of confused state or whatever that state is, they just can't see, no matter what. So there's just not much you can do. But as we said, I think that they have to go through that. Like, for example, if I never had this happen all to me, I probably would have just continued on doing what I was doing, right? If I didn't lose everything a couple years ago, if I didn't get smacked down hard, I would have just continued, and I wouldn't have learned all this stuff I've learned over the last few years.
You might end up killing yourself at some point.
Quite
it sounded
likely.
Like you
quite likely.
you heard that.
But what my point is, like, if all those bad things, like the smackdowns, didn't happen, I probably would have just continued how I was, right? So in a way, it's kind of good that people get smacked down.
It's absolutely good, and I've been saying this for a while. Like, I had some deep realizations in the last year or two, and if you recognize that all of the problems that are happening to you are actually planned by your higher self for you to wake up out of this, for you to develop. You don't get hate. You're not, oh fuck, I lost my. No, okay. What's the if you're conscious enough just to go, what is the lesson? What can I learn here? Mm-hmm. What is the gift here for me? Man, you can get a lot of growth quickly and wake up and then manifest whatever you want to. But if you're just like, everybody fucking God hates me, there is no God, I'm so unlucky, I want to die. All right, well that's whoa boy, you're in for a real nasty reality if that's what you want to look at. So, so it really it's so being conscious and aware with life itself is the most powerful thing you can do. Just like, what is actually happening now? What's going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of religious stuff I heard growing up, right? That all makes a lot of sense now. For example, you always heard from a lot of more religious people, and I don't like organized religion, but I'm very spiritual. But you'd hear it all the time, have faith. Mm-hmm. Well, that actually makes a lot of sense when you understand what we know now, right? Mm-hmm. So when something bad happens, I'm the same as you now. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What am I being told here? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even care what it is. Like, there's almost nothing that I don't think can faze me right now. There probably is, but nothing I can think of. Let's say the house burned down. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there was a reason for that. And even if I couldn't figure out what the reason was right away, I would kind of have faith that this is all part of some sort of plan, because it always is. This is one of the things you can't tell younger people, because you have to see it to believe it. Because it sounds crazy, right? That all of this, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's planned or how or who or any of that, but I know that it's true that every single thing that's happened in my life, and as bad as many of them have been been really great. They've turned out, I had to go through those things, and it was really great. So yeah, for all the people out there, and we see them all the time, they're kind of like, something bad happens and they're smashing the desk and why me? It's like they don't get it, obviously, because really they should be going, oh, okay, that's interesting. And what's the meaning of this and how, and it's probably an opportunity. That's what I found too. Like so many things, especially in business, man, I've seen this like thousands of times now. Something bad happens. Your biggest client just called. They don't want you as a client anymore. Most people be like, oh my God, we're going to have to fire some people and all this sort of stuff. Now I'm like, oh, that's interesting. There must be a new door somewhere to be open. And I've almost found that's the case. It's like almost like the next day, you have a bigger client now. And it's like, okay,
That's right.
you just kind of let it go.
I'm going a couple of times in big ways. People I've been in, relationships with, working with for years and years and years, and I don't want to let go because it's so good, and then but there's all this. It's not working, but it kind of is. And I've recently just went, you know what? Just let it go. I know, and literally almost immediately when I went, yeah, I trust in the universe. I'm going to get another person who can do this job, or they're not going to be fighting. But literally 2 days later, oh yeah, my other friend, blah, 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 could do this perfectly, and he's looking for a job. This is unbelievable. Was there the whole time. But I couldn't see it because I was holding on.
Yeah.
I couldn't just let go and have faith that it would work out. So it's an amazing thing just being able to, and it's one of the greatest spiritual lessons, just to be able to trust. Just trust in all that is that it will work out. It is going to be okay.
Yeah, that's really what I've learned.
Huge.
Yeah. I have complete trust and faith in the universe now. I don't have complete trust and faith in everything and people or anything like that, but I pretty much know through my experiences now, and this is like if I watched this 5 years ago, I'd turn it off right now. It's like, what's this guy talking about? Like a bunch of idiots. Yeah, everything's a plan and blah, blah, blah. But I just know, like, how many experiences do you need to have before you go, okay, this is all some big thing, and it's all kind of like all going to work out no matter what. Even if I ended up, like, for example, one of the coolest things about where I am right now is if I lost everything, I'm not a big materialist anyway. You know that the only thing I have here is my work stuff. Otherwise, I don't have anything personally. I'm a minimalist generally. But if I lost all material items, lost all money, lost all my Bitcoin, I'd be like, well, just go sit in the forest and meditate and eat some mangoes. It's fine. Like, and I'm sure that happened for a reason, and we'll see what the reason is. And, it's really beautiful because there's really not much that can really happen in life that really gets you very upset once you come to this realization.
Dude, I had about 6 weeks ago, very similar. I was just sitting there thinking about me and how much I've really started to love, truly love who I am and what I am and why I'm here and all this. And I just had this deep, profound moment of clarity and understanding that just the greatest thing, the most exciting thing of all is that I get to be me. And even if I lost all my wealth, also all my crypto, my friends, everything, literally, I had nothing, I would still be me. I'd still get to be me. What could I possibly be afraid of? It's amazing. Like, I'm still me. Nobody can take it away. Even if I died in this physical body, I would reincarnate and I'd still get to be this guy, which is awesome. So when you really, truly love and appreciate yourself, it's like there is nothing to fear. We're here. We're complete. There's nothing to... Sure, we can improve on ourselves, absolutely, but we're it. So it's a complete shift in existence, basically.
Yeah. Every now and then politicians say something true, and I think it was... every now and then. They throw them in every now and then. I think it was Franklin Roosevelt or one of them, and his saying that you probably heard is, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Mm-hmm. Totally true. That's the only thing to fear. Like, what I found out is your mind creates all these issues and problems and worries and fears, and if you can learn to, like, through the meditation, through getting, into all that kind of stuff, if you can learn to, like, treat the mind as, like, sort of like this irritating dog that's useful, it can do stuff. Like, when I need to write something, it's very helpful. But it's really like this irritating dog or monkey, really. A lot of people say monkey because it's just going. It's like, calm down. And it's like, this is a problem. It's like, once you realize that that's what's going on, all of a sudden everything becomes so much easier, and you really do realize. A guy wrote me just yesterday on Facebook, and I get a lot of these, by the way, and thank you for everyone who does. I get a lot of, like, private thank you notes, and you changed my life and all this sort of stuff. And this guy at the end said, how can you say all these things and just go out there and do it, and you have no fear? And I wrote him back, I said, what's to fear? Because there's literally nothing to fear. As you pointed out, there is absolutely nothing to fear. Even if the U.S. government came after me, threw me in Guantanamo Bay, that would suck for sure. But I'd probably have some sort of spiritual moment in there where even if they're torturing me, let's say, right, I don't actually think any of this stuff's going to happen. I think actually life makes you think that's going to happen. I don't think it ever actually does really happen to you personally. Now, it might happen to other people, but we don't really know what their things going on or anything, right? Like, a lot of people say, hey, if I came there right now with like a hammer and started whacking on you, you'd feel it. It's like, yeah, but I don't think you're going to. I don't think that actually, like, I don't have any fear of that. But even if that happened, I would probably have a really amazing moment in that moment where the pain would be so bad that I would leave my body and go to some other place and probably have another amazing experience. Like, that's what I found. Like, for example, when I look back on my life and the sort of painful moments, the physically painful where I actually haven't broken a bone. I'm kind of lucky. But, I've definitely had moments where I've been hurt in some way. You can't actually remember the pain because the pain actually isn't really real. It's I don't know how to explain it, but you can't actually remember pain. Can you remember how any serious pain that you had with a physical body? Do you remember how it felt?
I can remember being in a lot of pain, for sure.
But
I'm
you
just
don't
like,
remember.
fuck, this hurts a lot. But
Right.
it's difficult to remember the exact feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, because I think what happens is, let's say it's something traumatic. You get in a serious car accident, and you're all broken. You're in a ton of pain at the time, but you don't really remember it afterwards. Like yourself or whatever, God, universe, whatever, protects you from really feeling that pain. In fact, your body will just put in all kinds of endorphins and adrenaline, and you'll actually sometimes feel really high. So even the worst case situation is still nothing to fear. Like, that's what I found. Like, there's really nothing to fear. And your mind creates so much of this stuff. And so many people in my community, especially, the more, like, truther, conspiracy theorist types, I can see a lot of them. They're so worried. Oh, the government's out to get us.
Dude,
All this
they're
kind of stuff.
super weird. Last year when I came to the conference, I had a great time, but I found myself literally taking on these thoughts of like worrying about money and worrying all this shit. And I was like, what is going on? I went in the ocean for 10 minutes and the water and then I walked out of there going, oh, that wasn't my stuff at all. That was everyone else's energy because the water just takes it away. So yeah, you really got to be careful. Like, there's nothing wrong with planning for your financial future. There's nothing wrong with planning for anything. But when you realize that there is a divine plan and that you really get back what you create. Whatever you put out into the world is exactly what comes back. So if you're going out there being positive, helping people, making people's lives better, there's no reason the lesson you're going to get from the universe is you're going to get totally fucked over. It doesn't make sense. And so you really get back what you put out. So when you're going around being full of fear and worried and stuff,
You attract that.
you're attracting that. It's really not good. So that's why I love being part of this conference, because I can bring, I love the crypto and the financial, and I love all of it, and the freedom and the volunteerism. But I like bringing that element of like, we can still do this and be volunteers and make the world a better place, coming from a place of, it's all going to be okay. Let's all love each other. Let's all support each other. It's all going to work out, guys. We can, it's one of the first messages I got when I did channeling with my friends out there in space, and the message was, if you're going to go do stand-up comedy, I asked them, should I go back to stand-up? They said, if you do, you can go back to stand-up comedy and you can wake up a lot of people, but you must come at it from a place of love, because you must awaken even those that are lost, even your enemies. You must awaken them from a place of love. Otherwise, if you're using fear and anger, you're giving them your power. That's what they use. Mm-hmm. So we cannot fall into that. We have to stay in our hearts, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but this year the Narcoboca really changed, so especially with all the hippies there for days before the conference. And because I remember the first year, there was a lot of people kind of angry with the government. A lot of people in black T-shirts, and the government's so bad, and we got to stop them. This year, almost everyone had the same message. It was like delivered in different ways, but it was like, be the change you want to see in the world. Fix yourself. Even Mark Passio said that, and he's like one of the more hardcore, like, conspiracy theorists, occult sort of guys. That was the heart of his message, was go inside yourself. You can't change the entire world, but when you change yourself, you actually see the changes happen. Like, I don't know if we create the reality or if we're just seeing things. Maybe we're just seeing on different frequencies, right? So when I'm depressed, this looks horrible, but when I'm not, it looks great. So maybe if I change myself, all of a sudden I'm in a better spot, and now I see all the beautiful things, and I don't see those nasty things as much. I don't know exactly how it works. That's why I listen to shows like yours and many other.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something right now, just for everyone that I've noticed. When you change yourself, you are literally, I'm not exaggerating, you are literally entering another timeline where things are different. And I've experienced this, and if anyone goes on YouTube and just types Sasha Degame Mandela effect, you'll see a video where I in detail describe an experience I had where literally, as I was falling asleep, I was praying, I was doing putting out a lot of love to the universe, being very thankful. I had a beautiful moment. And as I was falling asleep, I felt my body vibrate, and I had this memory come up in my head of just one memory of my life. And at the exact same moment, that same memory came up, but it was a completely different memory of a different event. And I remember thinking, these two can't exist in the same timeline. They're completely opposite. And I was, just as I started to panic, this kind of knowing, this feeling of love came in and was like, shh, don't worry about it. Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. I went to sleep. I woke up. And that was weird. I go on Skype around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and my buddy Ray comes on, and he says, hey, have you heard of the Mandela effect? I'd never heard of it in my life. And I asked him, I said, is that when you have memory of like a different timeline? He goes, that's exactly what it is. And I was like, that just happened to me now. So, and I was shown this. I could have learned about Mandela effect on YouTube or Google or Friends, but I experienced a shift. This was 1 week before Donald Trump won, by the way. 1 week, maybe 10 days. Right before. So I literally was conscious of me shifting into a realm where things are different. Movies are different, games, brands, things that I knew. Tons of things are different. And it's different because I shifted who I am completely into another timeline, the one I prefer, which is the non-Hillary Clinton one. That's the one I chose. So you are different. When you change yourself, you're entering another timeline completely. And it's hard for our human heads to believe it, but there's infinite timelines. To you and me, like, no, we're here, this is everything, we're all in the same one. No, we're not. We're shifting timelines all the time based on our vibrational frequency. That's the trippy part. And there's some great talks by Bentina Massara on that, and Abraham Hicks, and millions of people. But it's super profound. So there's a lot going on. When you truly change you, your beliefs, your fears, everything, you are not the same person as you were before, period.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's my experience as well. After I started to change, everything around me just changed. It was like almost overnight. All of a sudden, my dogs, you've seen it crazy, but they were way crazier before and way more chaotic. It was almost, all of a sudden, they were way more peaceful. Just as soon as I started to change, my family went from being not very happy, everyone, like there's definitely some issues, to everything's fine. And I go outside, I'm like, everything's fine. It's like, did I change or I don't know. But like what you just described sounds like one of the better theories I've heard on what's actually going on. The funny part is most people don't think about this stuff, and your average person will, especially because if they live in their mind, right? This is one thing I've really learned, is living in your mind is not a good place to live.
No,
it's not.
It's really bad.
No, it's like
I'm coming from there too.
Yeah, live in your heart. I mean, you're feeling, you're knowing. Use the mind for what you need to use it for.
Right,
but if you live in your mind, because I meet so many of these, especially from the crypto world, because a lot of them are really techies, and they're really like, well, I've got everything figured out. I'm super smart. I can code anything. It's like, yeah, but you don't know anything about anything. You don't even know what's going on. You can't get girls or anything. You got Star Trek figurines on your desk, and like they're just living in their mind. So if they were watching this, they'd be like, Mandela effect. They'd turn it off even before we even started talking about it, because, well, that can't be, because I haven't seen that in a science book. It's like, well, there's a lot of things that aren't in science books that are very, very real. But you don't know until you start feeling it. And, so many people just live in their heads so much. And because of that, they just can't even get close to this understanding we have. Like I said, if I watched this 5 years ago, I would have turned it off too.
How much was being stuck in your head linked to you being depressed? Was it a big part of it? The fact that you're, were you up here thinking about shit, or you weren't even thinking, you're just fucking depressed?
I'm not sure if I was really depressed my whole life or not, my whole adult life. It's really hard. Like, when I look back, I'm not sure what was going on.
Like, were you a worrier? Were you worrying during those years where it was really kind of, peak of the depression?
No, I've never actually been a worrier. But I was not aware of anything. And I was just... I actually, I have to admit, like, I wake up a lot of people all the time, and you do as well. I was totally asleep. I was just not... I was a programmed robot for like 45 years of my life. I thought, I watched all the rap videos when I was younger, the coolest thing to be is to walk into a club with a big bottle of expensive vodka and have all the girls with big breasts around. It's like, that's the pinnacle of life, right? Like, sure, that's fun every now and then, but like, no, that is not the pinnacle of it all. In fact, I don't even want that at all. Like, if you said, let's go out tonight and get a big bottle of vodka and sit there and try to attract girls, no thanks. I'd much rather do all my stuff. If there's a cute girl in yoga pants who walks by, maybe I'll talk to her or whatever, right? Like, I'm not interested in women, but like that it was also programmed, and I didn't realize it. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people think I'm so awake and I'm waking people up. It's like, man, I'm still waking up to how programmed I am. Like every day, it's like, oh man, why am I doing this? Oh, it's programmed in me from like decades ago. It's in there from some TV show or movies, all programmed. It's called television programming for a reason. It's literally brainwashing you into patterns. And one of the biggest things of all of that stuff is to put you into a fear state. And once you're in a fear state, you cannot you can't awaken because that's what they want. So you turn on the television programming, war with Iraq, war with Syria. Like, I don't watch it. Sometimes I don't even see it for like years at a time. People say, well, you're like this big financial analyst commentator guy. Like, don't you even watch what they're saying on CNN? It's like, no, I don't care what they're doing. And I'll be in an airport and I'll see it. I'll be like, people are watching that? Like, that's real? Because that is like, that has nothing to do with reality. It's like, oh, Kim Il-sung is about to bomb the U.S. It's like, no, he's not. I don't even know if nuclear bombs even exist. I think it's all made up by those guys. But like, you turn it off, and like you said, go swim in that ocean, and all of a sudden, everything's fine. They want you, barrage. So for people out there, if there's one thing, if you don't understand anything we've said, but you're somehow still watching, which would be weird, but good for you for having an open mind, just turn off the television programming. Don't listen to all that stuff. Get away from all that kind of stuff. Movies even, television, everything. It's all implanting you with a lot of things that you don't really want or need. Read more books if you want to, entertainment or something like that. At least books, And definitely, obviously, I've been reading a lot of Osho recently, and I'm just loving it.
Insanely amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading The Secret, something Secret with Osho, and I'll read it, and I'll be like blown away. I actually read it on my phone in bed, which I know is not, all about that stuff. I got my Blu-ray filter blocker or whatever, but I actually like digital stuff, but I understand there's some problems with that stuff. But I'll read it in bed and I'll be like, what? I didn't realize that you could even think about it that way, and that makes so much sense. And then what will happen is I'll turn it off and I'll go, let me just meditate on this, and I'll put my eye mask down, which are great, by the way, and I'll just start processing all this information, and then I'll even fall asleep, and in my dreams I know I'm processing all the information that he's been talking about. Like, it's like, do that instead of watching a football game, right?
You think? Really? I don't know, man. Osho, meditation, sounds pretty hippie to me.
Like, I watch hockey. Like, I'm going to watch the game tonight. I love hockey, but, like, do other stuff, too. Like, this kind of stuff. This is where it's at. I got to say, like, I can't wait till my son, he's, like, 11 now, and I can't wait to tell him all this stuff, because no one told me all this stuff. It's like, why didn't anyone tell me this? I had to learn it all on my own? Seriously? Like, not one person told me my entire life about any of this? They're like, get a job,
We're not supposed to know. We're not supposed to know. You can't control someone who's all about getting in their heart and helping the world and helping people and loving themselves. You can't. They'll just be like, go to war. Fuck you. You would never, you need to be in that fear. There's us against them. You have to be in that state. So this whole system is based on that. And that's what we're bringing down, baby. It's all over. Taking it down hard. All right, Jeff. So I know you got to do things. So do I. So your last thing is, and because you really, have been an expert in this field of depression, what would be your one tip? What was maybe the one or two things you did that really helped you? What would be your one tip to someone who really wants to find that happiness and get out of a dark place? What would you say?
Well, I don't know if this will help everyone, but for me, it would have helped a lot if I understood it, and it was the alcohol. Even if you're not drinking all the time, that is such a negative in your life. And I still have some drinks. I don't know if I've had a drink with you while you were here, but I went out the other night. I had a martini at dinner last night, but like, in general, that is so bad for you. That's what I found. And as soon as I finally started to realize that, because they'll say it's a depressant, and a lot of people understand that, but they don't really think about it too much. It's way more than a depressant. It brings your vibrational level down. So if I have more than a couple drinks, the next day I'll be like, I don't feel like meditating. I feel like eating a pizza or something, some greasy food. All of a sudden I'm putting crappy food in my body. All of a sudden my vibration's lower. I can't really do all this great stuff that we've been talking about. I'm like, I don't feel like it. So for me personally, that was like, if you're out there and you're drinking for whatever reason, find out, first of all, why are you drinking? It took me a while to understand that, but I was drinking for basically two reasons. One was I was very socially shy, and that's a big thing that you do, is help guys get out of that. Highly recommended, by the way. I think that's awesome. And over 20, 30 years, I finally got over my kind of social awkward shyness, which is great.
He was awkward. He was really awkward.
Well, the thing is, you can get over it in like a few weeks with stuff that you're doing, right?
2 days.
Go to one of your camps.
2 days.
So guys out there, if you're socially awkward or shy, just hit one of those things. get it over with. Don't waste 20 years like me and frickin' I don't even know how much I spent on alcohol in my life.
Oh,
it's got to
man.
be over $1 million.
Oh.
Yeah. And secondly, it was about women. I was, how do you meet women? Well, all I know is I go there, I drink this, all of a sudden there's girls around, it's about 2 a.m, I wake up, there's a girl there, usually not as attractive as I remember, but that's how you get girls. That's all I knew for my entire life. That's how I grew up. The whole cult around me was you don't pick up girls like just by going to a yoga class. Are you crazy? No, you got to go and fucking do all this shit. So that's the main 2 reasons I was doing it. And then it turned out in the final 5 years or so, I was using it to both numb myself from the unhappiness I was feeling and also to make myself feel kind of happy for a moment, because you have those times where you have a few drinks like you did at the Narcomoca, and you're like, hey, I feel pretty good. It's like, yeah, it's like I was so depressed. It's like, well, for a couple hours, I'll feel kind of good, right? So I was using it for all those reasons. But basically the whole point of all of it is think about why you're doing what you're doing. That's really what it comes down to. So if you're drinking quite a bit, why are you doing that? There's probably a reason, because it's not really helping you. If you really logically, rationally look at it, I can't imagine any situation where it's really helping you. You're damaging your body. You're making yourself kind of stupid and slow. So yeah, that's really like kind of the one tip for those who are drinking, who are depressed. For those who don't drink and are depressed, I would say get out of your comfort zone. I see this a lot. I see a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I'm depressed. I'm just going to take those medications from the pharmaceutical companies. Like, oh man, like those are not good for you at all in so many ways. And I'm like, why don't you just hop on the back of a train and go somewhere, go on an adventure. Why don't you go to Africa with a one-way ticket and not even have any money in your pocket and just see what happens? Like seriously, that's the kind of stuff that I kind of have done in my life, and it's great. Like that's when you're so alive, because you're like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? And you'll meet the universe will bring all these things to you. This person will come up, you'll be like, hey, you look hungry, you want some food? Like, yeah, thanks. And then you meet this guy, and before you know it, you're on this amazing adventure. But a lot of people just stay in their house and just kind of like, I'm depressed. It's like, well, get out of your house. And I know it's so hard. I know it's super hard, but just do it, Take action one way or another is really the answer.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, anything. Do something. I know some people they don't do anything. They're just farting around. I'm like, dude, anything. Do anything. It can't hurt. But your advice with the drinking really applies to so many things that we're addicted to, including what I spoke about at your event this year. I quit food for over a month. I had absolutely no food. I was living on prana. I was just having some soups and juices.
One quick funny story. He was like 3 weeks in, and he wanted this cake at Narcomoca. And I didn't see it myself, but Luke told me that you were eating the cake, but you didn't want to swallow it because you'd ruin your diet, and you'd be spitting it out. That was the funniest thing I heard in a long time.
No, I literally was like, there's free booze. And I was on liquids and soups and stuff, so I'm like, I could have some pina coladas. That's not technically eating. So I had like 6 pina coladas, got drunk first time in about a year or two. Like I just don't drink. Got drunk, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna taste this cake and spit it out. So I'm like literally like spitting out this cake. And after the third, fourth bite, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm eating this cake. And I just ate the cake, and it started like a bender of like food, and so I had like about a week of just eating, and now I'm going back into not. But yeah, man. But that goes to speak about balance. But anything you're addicted to, even like eating lots. Like if you're eating all the time, you're eating all the time because you're covering you want that. Your emotion, you're filling a hole, literally an emotional hole, and you're like drugs, food, sex, anything that you're using rather than facing your problems and developing yourself is an obstacle. So, and that's what I've learned. It's like I eat sometimes, but I can go long periods without, and I can eat almost nothing. So I've broken that addiction of like, oh, I'm bored, I'm going to eat. No, I'll eat to enjoy it, but I'm not going to eat because I have to eat. No.
Yeah, one time I was off the drinking, and I started doing fasting. Fasting, by the way, talk about an amazing way to like just change your life overnight, like in 1 or 2 days.
Dry fasting,
water fasting, juice fasting, whatever fasting. So I was on one fast, and I was on day 2. I was feeling really good because you feel amazing. Like, don't listen to. I put on my Facebook, I'm going to do a fast like a year ago. I had like 1 million trained doctors all tell me I was going to die in a couple of days. See, they're all programmed. You can't even listen to most people. They just repeat their programming. But anyway, I remember I was on day 2, and I quit smoking while I was fasting. So that's I just felt so good. I was like, why am I smoking? This is stupid. And I just quit. It was like no withdrawals, no nothing. And I remember I was sitting there, and I was like working or something, and I went, I really want some food. Like I almost reached for it. Like it was like I was reaching for a bag of chips or something, and I went, "Wait a sec, you're on a fast. You can't do that." I was like, "But wait a sec, why do you want that food?" And right in that moment, I went, "Because I feel unhappy right now." There was a sadness that had just come into me for whatever reason, and I was like, "I need something," right? But when it wasn't there, because I had forced myself onto the fast, I was like, "Okay, so now I have to actually feel this sadness and actually deal with it," which is actually good. So yeah, you're covering it up with food. You're covering it up with pretty much anything. Almost anything could be sort of like something that covers up. Get out of it, do a fast, do some meditation, feel, when you feel really sad, feel it, and get it out, and talk to someone about it, or whatever. Just get it out instead of covering it up, and you just cover it up, and you just end up under a big pile of trash, years later, right?
That's right. So that's beautiful. I think we have spread some excellent wisdom tonight. Together, the Woke as Fuck podcast, the Dollar Vigilante, have made a baby. And here it was, folks.
Yeah, I see you're getting disrobed, during this podcast.
Well, listen, I got this sexy body now. Look at that. I lost all this weight doing the breath Aaron. Look, I can wear like little shirts now and shit. And I'm doing my Freddie Mercury.
This
good.
This is the fasting.
Jeff also. See, we're two studly. In fact, looking like we do. We should go out and meet some girls. I mean, shit, probably do really well now. But yeah, so it's been beautiful, and I'm super happy just seeing you get better and healthier and happier every day.
Yeah, thanks. You were a big part of it too. You and Isabel. So thank you guys. I had so many good friends, Luke and my family, my kids, and I tried to say thank you in Acapulco, but I started crying. But no, thank you to so many people, and even the people out there who I don't know and sent me nice messages and stuff. Those help too. And for all the trolls, whatever, I don't care. I really just don't care what anyone has to say.
People troll. You know what? This is just as you mentioned it. People troll because they're empty and they're unhappy and they need to fill it. So they're probably smoking and eating, but why not shit on someone else's party too? So hey, guess what, guys? You need to listen to this episode more than the rest.
Yeah, and we don't care what you say anyway, so you're just wasting your time. Deal with your own problems. Yeah, all those trolls, I can see it. I almost see it. Like, it's almost like I can read. Like, it's like I see different letters on the screen. Basically, they're like, screw you faggot or whatever, and blah, 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 and, eat some food, fasting's stupid. And I read it, I'm like, I'm hurt, I'm lonely. I'm like, that's what I see. Like, you can just see how it's like, why would you do that? Like, have you ever gone on YouTube and watched a video that, for whatever reason, maybe you didn't agree with the views, and went, you idiots, like I don't know what kind of problem you have if you're wasting your time doing that, right? Like, it's a weird thing.
If somebody says some really stupid stuff to one of my videos, I'll sometimes make a slightly sarcastic comment back. But no, I don't spend time trolling other people. No.
Yeah, some people, you just look at they're just on all day just trolling. It's like, it's really a sad existence.
It's a call for help.
Yeah.
It's a call for help, and they need a hug. So it's been beautiful, and I look forward to next year's event and doing another one of these and hearing all your crazy growth stories next time around.
Yeah, man. I don't know where I'm going to be a year from now.
No, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I'm excited just about next week. I mean, shit. Next year, I don't even know. Cool. Come on, give me a hug.
All right.
I love you.
Thanks, man.
See that? That's one of the things people do when they're not. The awkward hugs. Have you met those people that they do this, and I'm just like, yeah. But this is the thing. Hug me for real, Jeff. Hug me for real on camera. Okay. Hug me for real. Let me feel that love.
Disrobing is a little awkward, but no, I can hug now, and I can accept hugs.
I felt that.
So,
that was better.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I'm getting there. Day at a time.
It's almost like we need a little.
I got no
card.
hugs as a kid, so it seems very strange.
Well, me neither, because I had no dad, and my mom would just beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So you can see how
So
I
long
was
as
a
you're
little
gonna beat
closed
me.
off earlier in life,
Yeah.
And your childhood stories, which we don't have time for, are the most hilarious and brutal things I've ever like. If you ever see him on some San Pedro, ask him about his childhood. It's brilliantly, comedically brilliant and horrible all at once, but probably the funniest shit I've ever heard come in your mouth. Anyways, so we love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cool.
Peace.